Let's take a look at Milotic V. Welcome back everyone to more from the Sableyes. I'm Mitch and today we're going to be taking a look at an updated version of Milotic V. We haven't touched this deck for quite a while. The last time we saw it was before Rebel Clash came out, and now we've got ourselves another opportunity to take a look at it. This time we're going to play it with Welder and see whether or not that is going to give this deck an opportunity to be successful. Before we take a look at the list, a couple of quick housekeeping things to do. Firstly, if you haven't already subscribed, please consider doing so. About 65% or something like that of people who watch our videos aren't subscribed, so we'd really like to see that number climb up, as well as giving the video a like. If you like the video, there's more chance that more people will see it, which means that the channel grows, which means we get more opportunities to do really cool content for you. So if you do like it, then please consider doing that. And if you want to be a part of the group that chooses the videos that we put up on the channel, then jump over to Twitter at @thesabelize_YT. We put up polls there every couple of days to take a look at some of the deck profiles that we are going to be going through. Without further ado, we will take a look at the list and see exactly what Milotic's all about. So we have a really strong contender here for one of the best attackers in the format. Unfortunately, Milotic is a little bit difficult to set up. Aqua Impact is by far its best attack here. It's going to do 10 damage for a water double colorless, and then 50 more for every extra retreat cost that your opponent's active Pokemon has. So if they've got 1 retreat cost, it's going to do 60. Not great. If it's got 2, it's going to do an extra 120, so 130. That's going to be, 110. Maths, unbelievable. I'm going to need to learn how to do that maths pretty quickly. It's going to do 110. So that doesn't seem super great, but when we compare and put in cards like Galar Mine and Absol, which can start increasing the amount of retreat on our opponent's Pokemon very quickly, then we start to get some pretty big numbers. Galar Mine means that our opponent's active Pokemon has 2 more retreat than it has baseline, so that's an extra 100 damage right there. And if our opponent's Pokemon are basics, then with Absol we can easily get a couple of extra retreat costs as well. So 2 Absol and a Galar Mine, that's an extra 200 damage on top of whatever retreat cost they already have. If we're looking at something like Pikachu Zekrom, that has a retreat cost of 2 already. We got 2 Absols and a Galar Mine, then we're going to be looking at a knockout from Milotic with Aqua Impact. So it's very strong, definitely worth considering as an attacker. But one of the most difficult things is going to be getting it attacking in the first place. Now, we've decided to go with a Welder version of this deck at the moment. This one here obviously is a little bit more reliant on finding energy, but it does open us up to having a couple of extra attackers, namely Heatran-GX, which has Steaming Stomp, which is obviously a very good attack, and Hot Burn GX as a potential one-hit option. And we also get to play something like Mega Lopunny and Jigglypuff, which could come up quite easily if we are playing against something like Pikachu Zekrom or Mewtwo and Mew. Those decks both play a lot of GX Pokemon onto the field, and that means that Mega Lopunny and Jigglypuff is going to be able to do quite a lot of damage. Jumping Balloon at 60, plus 60 for every GX on our opponent's side of the field. So both extra attackers seem very solid. The rest of the list is relatively self-explanatory, with Jirachis and Dedennes to try and find items and draw cards. But we also have the Frozen Lock Cryogonal in the list as well. It's actually interesting because sometimes you can get into positions where Cryogonal and a Galar Mine can potentially be enough to just win you the game. So if you can just Frozen Lock, stop your opponent from playing item cards, maybe your opponent cannot retreat from the active, and you can just sit Frozen Locking until either their active is knocked out or until they lose the game through deck out. So there is that opportunity there. That's just some nice synergy with Galar Mine, so why not include it? Items and supporters are real self-explanatory. It's a Welder deck, so we're trying to keep Welder as our primary supporter, but we do have Boss's Orders as well. We don't need to play Welder every turn. If Milotic doesn't get knocked out, we can always play Boss to try and get a gust on what we need. It's probably not going to be used super frequently. We want to obviously Welder first, but it is important in there. We need to play Energy Spinner as well. There's 4 water energy and we need 1 on our Milotic, so we're going to need to find this card in the early game. If possible, there's 2 of them in the deck and our Jirachis can help us search them out. We also play Fiery Flint to make sure that we can find our fire energies at the right time. Unlike lots of other Welder lists, we can't play something like Giant Hearth because we obviously need to get our own stadium in play. Galar Mine is most important, so we don't have the chance to find energy that way. We'll need to do it through Fiery Flint. There's a Scoop Up Net Switch engine to get Jirachis out of the active. We've got Quick Balls to find Pokemon. We've got Acro Bike to go through a few more cards, and Reset Stamp is our only way to disrupt our opponent. So Reset Stamp is going to be a pretty clutch card in this deck. I really like it. I think this is a cool list. Whether or not we're going to be able to get it to work like reliably is another question, but Aqua Impact is definitely a very, very strong attack. And it's funny because at the start of the format, this card was one of those cards that everyone was thinking was going to be really, really strong, but no one has been able to get it into a solid solid list yet. So maybe Milotic's time isn't just now, maybe we're waiting until a little bit later, but it's definitely worth considering. What we'll do is we'll jump onto the ladder and we'll see if we can't get ourselves a game with Milotic V. So, Milotic on the ladder, we'll see whether we can get ourselves a game. Thank you very much to friend of the channel, Sam, for recording this one. We appreciate it. Nice big mouse in the middle of the screen here. We'll see how we go. This is my first time seeing this footage, just as you, so it'll be very, very interesting. A decent start here. We've got Jirachi and also a Lopuff, as well as a Welder and 2 energies. We're going second. This is actually perfect, and we're up against Grookey, so we could see Heatran getting a little bit of use here. That's going to be a particularly useful backup attacker for us if the Milotic doesn't get going. They're starting with Tag Call, so they'll have all of the things that they need to get started, but they won't be able to evolve their Rillabooms very easily, especially considering they're going second. So this is really good for us, and oh my goodness, we've got a switch as well. I'd almost think that it's worth like getting rid of the Lopuff here to try and grab ourselves Milotic, and then we can probably Energy Spinner to try and find the extra energy, and then after that we can go for the Stellar Wish. We could have also potentially gone and grabbed ourselves those energies first as well, but you know, it's okay. We'll chuck down the Milotic. The worst bit here is that we need to grab a couple of energies to go along with it. We need to get, I think we grab a couple of water here. That's not a bad idea, and then Welder twice, so super, super strong. We do need to find ourselves something that can set ourselves up to take a little bit more damage here. We might want to get maybe Dedenne to get ourselves going. I think we're at the point as well where we're going to just grab ourselves a maybe an Absol. I think is probably the safest thing to grab, because that way we at least guarantee ourselves a knockout this turn. We'll go for the Stellar Wish. We'll see what we get. Oh, I think the Scoop Up Net is probably... Oh no, it's probably not worth it. Acro Bike seems fine. We've got the switch in hand. Acro Bike we can probably play. I think if we can grab... Neither of these cards are super good, actually. I kind of don't want to get rid of Energy Spinner, because Energy Spinner means that we can find our last water. I also want to keep Fiery Flint, because then we can use Welder next turn, but it's actually not super great. We're just going to have to Dedenne here. We need to find some other Pokemon. We could have maybe held on to it to maybe try and find ourselves another attacker. Heatran could have been usable, but I think we're happy with this hand here. We'll take a knockout on the Grookey. 160 damage because of the 2 Absols in play. That's pretty solid. And this big ol' Roweggs has an absolute ton of retreat costs. So I think we are looking at a potential one-shot here as well, although they could probably do a lot of damage to us, and we don't have access to a second Welder. So we've already burnt through 2 of them, and we're running out of cards to use to search out energy. So it could be a little bit awkward. We could maybe even go for Hypno Splash if we wanted to try and put this Pokemon to sleep, but I think the aim of the game is going to have to try and get that energy, the retreat cost up. I think if we find the stadium, we'll be in a really good spot. And we can Aqua Impact for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 retreat cost, which would be a lot of damage. So I think that's probably the go, although the only guaranteed draw that we have is Acro Bike here, so that's okay. They're going to be grabbing out Guzmahala here, try and grab themselves another energy. They might go for Weakness Guard, actually, knowing that we've got fire Pokemon in our deck, but maybe they'll go for something else. It, of course, depends on a lot of factors. And discarded a couple of their Pokemon, including a Rillaboom, which is pretty frustrating for them. They're going for Capture Energy and a Big Charm, so the Big Charm will put them up to 300 HP if they choose to use it. The Capture Energy is going to be grabbing themselves a Grookey, and they've got the Venusaur Snivy as well on the field here, so that's a pretty big inclusion in this deck. They'll be able to gust stuff out with that pretty easily, but we do have the benefit of being safe for at least a turn. We don't need to worry about any of our opponent's attacks just yet. They can't get to 210. They just kind of have to hope that we don't take a knockout. So they'll be playing down that Big Charm. There's 300 HP on this Rowegg. And then, of course, they are going to attack and evolve into Rillaboom. So our opponent has pretty much everything that they need, but we're in a pretty strong position as well. That Welder off of the top is just exceptional news for us. If we Acro Bike here and find another Fire Energy, I'll be super happy. We actually find the Galar Mine. Okay, so we are going to be playing that one down. We've got the Milotic. We may as well welder once to this Milotic V. If we find another energy, that'll be super strong. Excellent stuff. And now next turn, we have a Jirachi to try and find ourselves another water energy. One of the issues, of course, will be that we've already discarded 2 of our 4, so it might be a little bit tough to get that water energy, but we should be fine. So we're just doing some maths here to try and figure out the amount of damage that we're going to be doing. We do more than 300. We do 360 damage because of that Galar Mine and take 3 prizes. So we're actually sitting on game here at the moment. There's almost nothing that our opponent can realistically do to win this one. As long as that Galar Mine stays in play, we should be able to win. But as soon as I say that, they remove it. So we are in a little bit of an awkward spot now. They're going to Shining Vine and bring out one of the Absol, which is a very good play from them. It's actually quite frustrating because not only will they take a prize, but they'll also remove some of our damage from the field. So we are going to need to hope that we can find ourselves another one of those Galar Mines. I'm sure we'll be able to find it, but we've got to go looking for it. They've got themselves a Rillaboom V and a Professor's Research. They're not a bad hand again from our opponent, but not amazing. You get a Voltage Beat now, and you'd presume that they'd be putting that energy onto the active so that they can take a knockout. And then we are in a position where we need to find ourselves our Galar Mine, and it shouldn't be too hard. We've got a Jirachi. We've actually got 2 Jirachis that we can use, and worst case scenario, we can just Boss's Orders out that Rillaboom because it has 220 HP and 3 retreat as well. So if everything does go poorly, we should actually be okay. Well, that Big Charm could potentially be a bit frustrating, but it's going to be okay. We'll wait and see how it goes here. We'll chuck up this Jirachi and go looking for the Galar Mine. As soon as we find it, we should be okay, because we realistically don't need anything else here. Another Boss's Orders or a Reset Stamp. I don't think either of those cards are particularly useful for us. We'll go again. We've got the Scoop Up Net, so we'll use that to grab the Jirachi from the active and put the benched Jirachi into the active. We'll Stellar Wish, and there's the Galar Mine. There you go. So Galar Mine going into the field of play. We're going to be able to put that one down. We'll play down another Absol. We'll switch into the Milotic, and we should be a-okay to take a knockout. We'll do a huge amount of damage here. I think it's going to be another 360, which is pretty solid, and that's exactly how this deck can work. Obviously, it does rely on a little bit of luck, but hey, seems like a solid victory to me. So if you're mucking around on the lower tiers of the ladder, then Milotic could easily be a deck for you. I think it's great fun, and I think it's probably going to be one of those decks that does come back at some point to really take the metagame by storm. The attack is really, really strong. It's just a matter of whether you can power it up consistently or not. So if you're looking for a version that doesn't rely on Frostmoth and instead uses Welder, this could potentially be the deck for you. And the best thing about it is it's relatively cheap. When you go onto the ladder, apart from things like Dedenne and Jirachi, the rest of the deck is pretty easy to get a hold of. So it's not too crazy. Once you've got your staples, you should be a-okay to build this list. hopefully you've enjoyed this one. We always appreciate having you around for them. Thank you very much to those people that voted for Milotic on Twitter, at the Sableize_YT. If you want to head over there, we have regular polls to try and decide what we're going to film next. So if you are interested, you're more than welcome to jump over there and give it a vote. Otherwise, just give us a follow on Facebook and Twitter as well. If you want to subscribe here, that would be great. Click the button that's on the top right-hand corner over here. On the left, there are some videos that YouTube thinks you'll like, as well as in the bottom right, we have a playlist for more Rebel Clash deck lists. Thank you very much, everyone, for coming along. We always enjoy your company, and we look forward to seeing you next time for more from the Sableize. Bye.